Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim. Thank you so much for the support. Hope you all are doing great. I am sure majority of white people do not believe that racism is real, and they are actually saying it that racism is a thing of the past. It doesn't exist anymore. And the same people that are saying that there is no more racism are talking about reverse racism, saying that people that look like me are racist towards them, right? So I am going to say this. If you, I don't know, everything about them is contradicting. You say racism is no longer real, but you are saying that people that look like me are very racist. And then recently, you all talked about black fatigue. Literally, you all are chameleon. Because 1 minute you are saying this, the other minute you are saying another one, right? So looking at everything going on, so I came across a video where black people were talking about how people that look like me cannot be racist towards you people. And that is absolutely true because we do not hold the power. I mean, do you all understand that being racist to somebody that look like you requires power, and we do not have that power? We could be prejudiced or anything, but black people cannot be racist towards you. And then the video is also talking about how they've been working so hard to bring people that look like me outside to protest and all that. But black people, I love the fact that you all said that you are not stepping out, and you did not step out. Rather, you are using your wallet, and which is the most important thing to protest. Let's get into this video.
White supremacy relies on having an uneducated population, and that is exactly what Trump's administration in the White House is creating today. Anti-intellectualism isn't just concerning because individuals don't know how to read or write at a high level. It's concerning because they don't know how to recognize patterns that are happening in society. They don't want you to recognize the historic danger of banning books, or realize that in 2023 alone, more than 3,000 books were banned, mostly about sexuality, race, and gender. They don't want you to recognize that erasing history is dangerous, like how Florida changed slavery to involuntary relocation, or that the GI Bill that built the American middle class, including my family, excluded black veterans. Why? Because if you understood the way that racism is built into the foundation of this country, you would demand change. You would have to if you have any sort of conscience. From education to housing to policing, go back 30, 50, 70, 90 years and the pattern is all there. White supremacy needs you to be uneducated and complacent in your current status. So what is the most radical thing that you can do today, especially as a white person? Get educated, read a book, stop dismissing critical race theory as woke propaganda, and actually look at the foundation of what we are saying, and you will literally be shocked.
If you are a white person in America, you were groomed to be a racist.
White women regularly uphold the systems of oppression that keep them in a marginalized position. As opposed to fighting for their own power, they cling to the power of the white men that they serve.
We'll play damsel in distress. We'll infantilize ourselves in order to get other white women and to get men to come to our rescue, in order to get them to bulldog and bully and go after especially people of color.
A woman caught on camera calling Oakland police last month on an African-American family that was barbecuing on the lake nearby. The video struck a nerve. The woman in the video insists she wasn't racist. She said she just wanted the police to come because barbecuing with coal was against the rules in that particular area. She collapsed in tears once the officer finally arrived.
The Whiteness Studies reading list explores the historical development of white identity. Click the link in the bio to see the list.
This is a message for the Black community and those who support it. We are still resting, but there is a tide shift. For one, 47 is very confused as to why we are not taking to the streets. He doesn't understand it. He just knew that using tax dollars to tear up the Black Lives Matter street, that was going to do it. Tearing down the buildings with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, he was sure that floating the rumor of pardoning Derek Chauvin would do it. His executive order to bring back segregation, all of his attacks on DEI, even though Black people benefit the least from DEI, he was sure that would do it. It hasn't. And one thing that they didn't plan on at the end of the election, something that happened on November 5th, 2024, is when we all went into the voting booth and voted, and we were the only demographic that was united and held strong for democracy in this country. The 92% of Black women who knew the assignment and knew what the stakes were, because we always do. The 78% of Black men who held it down because they knew what would happen if they didn't. The Black community knew the assignment we became on the same wavelength. When Target did their thing, we collectively made them an example. Walmart, also losing money. Amazon, also losing money. Now, granted, allies that support the Black community, the LGBT community, women, they've all been a part of that too. But Black people have collectively been on the same wavelength. But in Trump's desperation to get us out into the streets, he is becoming more and more dangerous with his executive orders. On April 28th of this year, he signed an executive order. The executive order is titled Strengthening and Unleashing America's Law Enforcement to Pursue Criminals and Protect Innocent Citizens. Now, we all know that Trump don't give a crap about innocent citizens, because if he did, he would care about due process, and he wouldn't try to get rid of habeas corpus, because that is how you know that a citizen is innocent or not. So what they want to do in this executive order is give cops more power and permission to profile, to brutalize people that they just think are guilty. That means us. He is trying to create another George Floyd, another situation that will get us into the streets. I say this so that we all can be cautious and we can all see and know what he is trying to do. This executive order further militarizes the police that were already militarized with tanks and riot gear, that apparently they do not need when people are protesting that are of a lighter shade, but they need it for us. This also further protects law enforcement officers who are accused of misconduct or police brutality. Protects them because we know that they need to make it home to their families, but you don't need to make it home to yours. They fear for their life, even though they're the ones holding the weapon and pointing it at your back. This executive order also does something that we have already seen. This executive order threatens state and local officials who discriminate by enacting diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. If state and local officials are being inclusive, advocating for diversity and equity, they can be charged with discrimination charges. Now, Trump's DOJ's Civil Rights Department, who have defended the civil rights of people for 70 years now, they are no longer defending the rights of Black and brown people, LGBT people, women, all of those people who are usually discriminated against. They are no longer going to be representing them. So if you have an issue of discrimination, the DOJ will no longer represent you because of discrimination. Make it make sense. They will now be focusing their attention on discrimination against white Christian people, because they are the most discriminated group by far. Yeah. Now, I say all this to say there's a tide shifting. Even though Black people are resting, we are focusing in on our communities, our Black-owned businesses, our children, our education, all of that. Yes, we need to continue doing all of that. I have seen a shift in the boldness of these racist people. Neo-Yahtzee rallies and marches up there in Kansas City. YT women calling little autistic Black children the N-word, getting $750,000 for that. But then there have been videos of Black people letting those racist people know, who think we are going back to the 1930s, during the times that we were hanging in trees, that they were having picnics with us as the main course. Times where they could tell us which swimming pools to swim at, which water fountains to go to, where to sit on the bus. Alabama today is trying to resegregate its schools. Problem is, Black people like me were born into freedom. It's going to be real hard to put that genie back in the box. So even though Black people are resting, we're not going back to 1930. We are a different breed. But I say, be cautious, because 47 has already started putting things in place, specifically for us, because he wants us to protest. And when we protest, he will enact martial law. And he already has the orders in place to do that. We need to know the enemy that we are fighting. So what do? Stay out of the street. Do not protest, no matter what happens. What we will do is we will continue to organize and protest with our wallets, cheer on our allies who are out in the street, strengthen the Black community, and to be there for each other. We will continue to support Black-owned business with our wallets and our presence. We will continue to be united as we were on the 5th of November 2024 when we tried to save this country. We will continue to do what we do best, thrive in our excellence, even during the hardest times. Love y'all. I don't usually say this, but share this video to somebody that you think needs to hear it. If we can depend on the right to do anything, it is to be deplorable. And on this Memorial Day, they did not disappoint. Starting with Dumpy Pants himself and that ridiculous post he made this morning, talking about literally everything but the sacrifices of our troops, right down to the KKK and neo-Nazi march and rally in Kansas City yesterday. Patriot Front held a rally yesterday. They then held a march afterwards. If you've never heard of Patriot Front, they are a white supremacist hate group, self-proclaimed ashes, and are all in on the MAGA front with 47. If you've never heard of Patriot Front, it's because they used to be Vanguard America. And Thomas Ryan Russo formed Patriot Front from Vanguard America after what happened in Charlottesville when one of the Vanguard America people ran his truck into a crowd of people, unaliving one and injuring numerous others. This was in 2017 during the Unite the Right Charlottesville, Virginia marches, where Vanguard America was protesting the removal of General Robert E. Lee's statue. Side note, you guys would not believe how many people I have in my comments telling me the Democrats were the ones who had the slave. And then these same people protest the removal of a Democrats' Confederate statue. So you support Democrats now? I don't understand what that argument is. Like, what is the gotcha that, anyway, I digress. Vanguard America, or rebranded Patriot Front, was actually ordered by a judge to pay each one of the victims of the Charlottesville incident $350,000 each for punitive damages and emotional distress. June of 2022, 31 Patriot Front members were arrested when somebody saw them loading up into a U-Haul truck, kind of like they did in Kansas City this weekend, and they thought that was suspicious. They called the police pulled them over, and the police found smoke grenades, shields, kind of like they had this weekend, and other items, as well as documents spelling out how to create an incident at the park. And they are really good at creating incidents because they were the ones creating incidents at the George Floyd protests. The Kansas City Police Department spokesperson said that the police department didn't even know that they were coming, and they didn't have to get any permits because no streets had to be closed. All of the marching was done on sidewalks and in public places where they could use their First Amendment right to assemble. What I found interesting also was that the Kansas City Police Department spokesperson said that there was no indication that the Kansas City Police Department escorted them in any way. But there are pictures and video evidence of police on bikes escorting them through their march. So I don't know why she felt like she had to say that when we all saw that it's a lie. They were escorted, and no one was arrested. This is a hate group with shields and flagpoles that have spears at the tip of them, and the police didn't fear for their lives. They didn't instigate an issue like they did in the peaceful George Floyd protests. They decided to assemble outside of the National World War I Museum and Memorial. A spokesperson for that museum said that although they respect the First Amendment right to assemble and exercise their free speech, they stand firmly against hatred, bigotry, and divisive rhetoric in all forms. As Patriot Front marched, they would chant things like life, liberty, and victory, and reclaim America. I personally think those are very weak-ass chants that have very little thought into them. First of all, life, thanks. Liberty, for who? They don't even realize that their own liberties are being taken away right now. And victory, against who? Who are you fighting? Reclaiming America, from who? The people who built it? Anyway, now the people that marched and rallied in Kansas City were not from Kansas City. Thomas Ryan Russo is from Texas. And there are a lot of people from a lot of different places, all with face masks and large glasses to obscure their identities. But they're not from Kansas City. So why are they in Kansas City? Apparently, Kansas City is a central theater for neo-Nazis. That is a central location that is important to their cause. Kansas City also has a black mayor. And November 11th of 2022, they went to Kansas City and they handed out food and blankets to the homeless. And in these brown bags that they were handing out to these people, there were recruitment flyers for their cause. That's concerning because they're trying to recruit the people who feel as if they have been forgotten. I think this is a lesson for the Democrats in the area, the mayor of Kansas City, and of other cities around that have a high homeless rate. Y'all need to start putting more money into helping the homeless, because if you don't, you might be helping with recruitment for these hate groups. Forgotten people are easy to radicalize. People who feel as if the government is against them are easy to radicalize. And if those people have nothing to lose already, that can be dangerous for you. I really wish these cities would pay more attention to their homeless, especially because a lot of the homeless are veterans and people who have sacrificed for this country. And we tell them thank you for your service and leave them on the streets.
Black people cannot be racist towards white people in America. and there's many reasons for that. You cannot experience racism when you are the sole benefactor from a system of oppression that then turned into an apartheid system where you own a specific group of people in said country, and then you systematically oppress those people for over 250 years. But since many of you don't understand definitions and understand the use of terminologies, let's do a breakdown of what racism means in America for all groups of people. Power dynamics are central to racism. Racism isn't just about individual prejudice, but also the ways society are structured to create advantages for one group of people, often the dominant racial group, or in this country, white people, and disadvantages for others, in this country, black people, brown people. Racism also requires the power to enforce. The role of power in translating prejudice into systematic discrimination through institutions, policies, and cultural norms. It is not enough just to hold prejudiced beliefs. Racism also requires the power to act upon those beliefs and affect the lives and opportunities of others. Policing, workplace, education. Prejudice versus racism is another one. Prejudice, anyone can be prejudiced. I can be prejudiced. Black people can be prejudiced. Asians can be prejudiced. Latinos can be prejudiced. But prejudice is simply negative attitudes or beliefs about a person or a group, often based in stereotypes. Racism is prejudice plus power to act on it and impact the lives and opportunities of others, creating a systematic disadvantage. There's a difference between holding prejudice and biases and being racist. Who can be racist? According to this definition and many definitions, racism is tied to systems of power. Therefore, individuals who are part of historically and currently dominant groups, often white people in many Western countries like our own, are more likely to be in positions to enact racism. Any group under the person of color umbrella can hold prejudiced beliefs. However, we lack the systemic power to enact racism on a broad scale upon white people. Let's give some examples of powers of racism. Redlining, a huge one. Historically denying loans and services to communities of colors, limiting their access to housing and wealth accumulation. That also goes for the GI Bill. Veterans home from war could not access funds to buy homes, get access to jobs or education, or healthcare after serving in the war. Disproportionate incarceration rates are higher arrests and incarceration rates for people of color, especially black people, due to systemic biases in policing and the justice system. Lack of diversity in positions of power, hence why DEI was invented. Underrepresentation of people of color in leadership roles across various sectors, politics, education, and business. Racism requires power, emphasizes the role of power dynamics in understanding how prejudice translates into systemic oppression and disadvantages for certain racial groups. In order to have that power, you have to be the dominant group, which in this country is white people. And while you may feel that people coming online and saying things like, oh, I dread working with white women, or white people stink, or white people don't wash, or I can't stand white people, while those statements may hurt your feelings, they're not racist. And we're able to say those things because, quite frankly, most of the things that you do in your life when it comes towards us are either micro or macro aggressions and stem from our racist system. I said this in my last video. You cannot believe that you're not racist if you come out of a racist system. Everyone is racist. It's about how you unpack those biases, how you unlearn those biases, and how you address your fellow countrymen that teaches you how to be less racist than you actually are. Especially if you come from the dominant group that benefited from said racism your whole life. Bye.
My name is Kylie, and I'd like to explain this analogy for the reason I make my content. Growing up as a white person, you are taught that everything you do is rooted in merit. So all of these CEOs who have earned their positions, it's because they are truly the best qualified for the job. Sexism, racism, etc., none of that exists. And in fact, our country has completely healed from the time of the Civil War when white people had enslaved people based upon their race. So now everything is perfectly equal. And if you don't work hard, that is why you end up in the position that you end up with. Systemic inequalities aren't real. Police departments aren't racist. And in fact, if you do the right thing, you will always succeed and you will always have good things come to you. Sort of a just world hypothesis situation. You don't even learn about racism until you're 15 or 16. So in many ways, the knowledge of white people about racism, whether it's something they say or do or participate in unknowingly, it's about the knowledge of like a kindergartner. So that's why something that seems obvious to you or to other people who have grown up experiencing racism is not at all obvious to white people, which is why I make the content that I do, to encourage white people to be actively anti-racist and to stop doing these things that I call out in my videos. White supremacy relies on having an uneducated population, and that is exactly what Trump's administration in the White House is creating today. Anti-intellectualism isn't just concerning because individuals don't know how to read or write at a high level. It's concerning because they don't know how to recognize patterns that are happening in society. They don't want you to recognize the historic danger of banning books or realize that in 2023 alone, more than 3,000 books were banned, mostly about sexuality, race, and gender. They don't want you to recognize that erasing history is dangerous, like how Florida changed slavery to involuntary relocation, or that the GI Bill that built the American middle class, including my family, excluded Black veterans. Why? Because if you understood the way that racism is built into the foundation of this country, you would demand change. You would have to if you have any sort of conscience. From education to housing to policing, go back 30, 50, 70, 90 years and the pattern is all there. White supremacy needs you to be uneducated and complacent in your current status. So what is the most radical thing that you can do today, especially as a white person? Get educated, read a book, stop dismissing critical race theory as
And I am going to start with this. White supremacy is a thing for those that do not understand it. And the fact that majority, recently, I'm sure you all might have been saying that white Black people are very racist and there is nothing that I have not heard within from last month till this month. But this month is just on another level. Different kind of videos coming up from them. Black fatigue, Black people, rate deceased, Black people are, there is nothing that I have not seen. And when you look at the people that are screaming racism, and you see how, you see the kind of racism that come out from them, and you are like, wow, where is this talk coming from? But yeah, it is coming from them because they are the only ones that they want to really be victims so bad. But that is their problem, not mine. And I am going to say this to my people. I love the fact that you all are holding on very tight, very strong. If only you know how hard they really want to see you people react, how hard, how bad they want it to be out on the street and all that. But you are not even giving them that space. Rather, you use your wallet because, Black people's purchasing power, do you know how many? It's a whole lot of money, right? When we come to, in United States, purchasing power and all that, Black people have it. When I say Black people have it, they do have it. So instead of hitting the street, you are doing your protest in a different way. But these people really do not understand it because their intention was to see you outside, like on the road, but you are not giving them the opportunity to be on the road, right? So sometimes, how do I say this? This is what we call thinking out of the box. It's not everybody that will know that I am supposed to do this and not do this, And which one is more effective? It is your wallet. It is the one that you are actually at home using your wallet to do. So far has been proven effective. Did you not see how they stepped out to march? What did they march? Did they march? Of course they did not. Some went out to look for bouncing castle for their kids. Some went out with their dogs. Some just went out to see what it looks like outside. Which you and I saw, which I brought the videos of how they protested, right? That was not a protest. I am sure you might have seen the video of Target screaming that fighting for bankruptcy, right? That is to show you that is to tell you that you did not get to the road. But your wallet and your actions speaks louder than any other thing. A very big shout out to every one of you. You all are doing amazingly great. So now you all can see how far you have come. And I am so proud. Before you know what, it's going on again. Other ones will still be screaming. I remember sometimes some people were like, this is not working. This boycott is not working out. because, like, I mean, we cannot boycott all these people. We can choose a month or 2 months to boycott like some certain kind of brand, and it will be very effective. Now, I hope they can see how effective this is. I hope they can see how effective this is. Now, I am going to say this. I hope you continue to stay put. And I hope you continue to, enlighten your children, because you all already know what has been happening, what is going on, and how there are already, black community in some places like that, and so, like Memphis and all that. They are flooding. The cops and all that are flooding black community, right? So continue to enlighten the younger ones and let them understand, because immunity, when we talk about giving the cops immunity, that which was in Project 2025, it's happened. And each time we talk about that, who are the people that it's going to affect? People that look like me. Black people was the only group of people that were united, that really wanted something great, that wanted democracy to continue to be in existence. But other people said, no, we don't want that. And for that reason, what happened. But you all are doing it amazingly great. I will draw the curtain here, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye for now.